Hey guys, welcome into my channel. My name is Carrie. It is a beautiful sunny day today. I'm loving it. It's about 70 degrees. There's no humidity. It's the perfect Florida weather. So I decided to kind of just open the curtains and let the sunlight shine upon us. And I've got a ton of new makeup releases that I want to try on today. I am feeling better. My whole family had the flu and we are now over it. So I'm feeling pretty good. I got some big ass hoops on. So let's just jump into playing with some new makeup. Okay, so I have basically a full face of new releases and I was gonna like break them apart with like some of the collections that I purchased, but I think I'll just kind of like throw everything together and just do a full face of kind of what I've got piecemeal. The drugstore did have a couple of new releases. The first one is the L'Oreal Prime Lab Advanced Derm Primer. This is up to 24-hour redness eraser. I am somebody who gets really red, and right now I'm actually not as red as I normally can get. So I wanted to try this because I haven't had the greatest luck in the past with like color correctors. So I have had a primer before from CoverGirl and it wasn't that good. It really didn't cover up my redness. I think I'm probably one of like the harder cases because I tend to get really red in the center of my face. So I do want to give this a test today. It's pretty thick of a consistency, which is good because I think that the more thin something is, the less effective it is. Look at how crazy this looks. I really need things to like neutralize under my makeup because I end up putting more foundation and concealer on to try and neutralize the redness, and it doesn't work usually. Then it just becomes that I end up layering too much concealer and foundation kind of on my nose, and then it tends to break apart. So this, if it works, would be really nice if the foundation sits on top of it. I think it neutralized a little bit. I'm mostly concerned with my nose, and I think it did a pretty good job. I don't think it like took away all of the redness. Now I'm just touching it, but I think it's kind of a thick consistency. And so it does feel a little bit heavier, like sitting on my skin, which gets me a little nervous that the foundation isn't gonna sit on it great. But do you guys, can you tell like a difference in kind of the redness of my nose? I don't know, we'll keep moving forward and we'll see how the foundation sits on top of it and whether or not it seems to like, you know, totally neutralize the color and then I don't have to lay more concealer on top of it. So I do have a drugstore foundation. I did pick up the L'Oreal True Match. This is called the Super-Blendable Foundation. Registered trademark. So I thought this was a really interesting naming for a foundation. Super-Blendable Foundation. So what's up with that? Like, why name it like that? That's just the weirdest thing ever. I didn't realize in the market we had, you know, companies making foundations that just weren't super blendable, and we're all out here just complaining about how unblendable our foundation is. So I don't know, I guess they decided to trademark Super Blendable Foundation. Mostly I get along with a lot of L'Oreal products, like base products, and so when I saw this I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick this up. And it definitely sounds like it's a lighter consistency. I do have mine in the shade N1. Yeah, it's a really thin consistency, really thin formula. I am going to apply it to half my face and then blend it in and see how that looks. I'm just gonna use my sponge. This sponge is so huge. It's these like Sonia, what are these sponges? I don't know, I'll list it in the description box, but these are those sponges that you can get from Target, and I do like her brushes, and they're just like, they blow up to like half the size of my face, but they're actually really nice and pretty inexpensive, and I'm pretty picky when it comes to sponges. There's only like two that I really like to use for my face, for like base products, and this one being one of them. I'm just picking up what I had left on the back of my hand and blending it in. Very light coverage, and I don't like the way that it's sitting on top of the L'Oreal primer, unfortunately. It seems just like a little bit cakey, kind of around my nose where that primer went on. But yeah, that was probably about a half a pump that I put on this side of the face. It's just very minimal coverage, very light. I don't know if I found it to be more blendable than other liquid foundations, but hey, what the hey. These big ol' hoops make me feel all sassy, but man, do they get in the way of foundation. It's not too heavy. It's light to medium coverage. I think I used more than I probably would normally. I think I probably used about a pump and a half over the whole face. And I don't know that it's totally neutralized the redness on my nose, but I mean, like ever so slightly. Like right about now, I could usually see a little bit more redness and I would normally go in with concealer on top of it. But I don't feel like I would have to go in with concealer. I actually do feel like it neutralized it just a teensy bit. But I don't think it's a miracle cure for all the redness that I get. I don't think it was like, you know, oh my gosh, one layer and it took away all the redness, but I think it did a pretty good job. This is definitely a satin finish foundation. It's not overly hydrating and it's not overly dry. So far it's laying on top of my nose pretty well. You know what? I just forgot. I picked up the new e.l.f. Camo color corrector and I do want to give this a shot. I picked mine up in peach. I just wasn't super impressed with like the Milani. And so I wanted to try a different one. And since e.l.f. came out with these pretty recently, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me just give these a shot and see how they work, because I do get quite a bit of darkness like under my eyes, and more so on like one eye than the other sometimes, like this one. My left one is always worse. So I just took a little bit of the foundation off because I do want to go into this. They did have a green one, which I could also try to kind of like neutralize some of the color if this doesn't seem like it's working. I just hate the double steps. But I also hate getting super red and feeling like I have to over apply concealer and foundation just to neutralize the redness. So if this works, then I might pick up the green one. It's a pretty deep peach shade. The other ones that I've tried in the past have been like a lighter shade than this, a much lighter peach, like the Becca and the Milani. They've both been fairly light in tone. And so I kind of felt like this is a little dark. Maybe not the shade I should have picked up, but we'll see. Yeah, this seems like a really dark shade. That didn't like, that didn't necessarily like neutralize the color so much as like, I can still see darkness on this one, so much as it did like provide color. Like this is really, really pigmented. And so now I kind of feel like I look a little sick. But I don't think it did enough on my left eye, which is always the problem eye. I'm just going back in with a second layer to see if I can't neutralize this one that gives me a little bit more darkness. Yeah, I mean, look how sick I look now. So it's definitely tacky and it's a thicker formula than the Milani one, which is very, very thin. I was trying to find the Milani one, but I will just throw a picture up on the screen of the one that I'm talking about. But yeah, I think that that one is a much thinner formula. This is a little bit thicker than that one is, and it's tackier because I think it's thicker. I think that 2 layers helped it a little bit on this eye. I can definitely see darkness still peeking through. Some of that might just kind of like be my lights. But yeah, it says full cover satin, counteracts dark spots for fair to medium skin. Okay, well, we'll have to, I don't know, keep wearing it and see how it works. Let's throw on some concealer. I picked up the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Light Concealer. This says it's an illuminating smoothing concealer, and it is 24-hour wear, waterproof, sweat and humidity resistant, non-creasing, delivers immediate and all-day moisture. It says it's infused with coconut water, alpine rose, and hyaluronic acid. There's quite a bit of information on this box. I have mine in the shade Graham Cracker. I could tell that I was struggling to like get the correct shade in this online because I don't think that it said when I was purchasing it from Ulta like what the shades were, light with neutral undertones. And sometimes like they don't always post it when they first launch it, and like later they'll start adding the undertones. But when I got this, I think it was like the day that it came out, and it has been here. I just have been sick and so I didn't try it. So hopefully this is a good shade. It definitely looks a little bit pink. I don't want to add any more pink. I'm gonna just apply it to one side. I'm gonna layer it up a little bit because I want to take over some of that pink from the e.l.f. I also forgot to mention that foundation was pretty fragranced. Like I could definitely smell a fragrance in it. It's not lingering It's definitely gone by now, but it did have one. Wow, I actually think that was really nice. It neutralized it really well, don't you think? Here's the side that I did, and here's the pink that I laid it on top of. I think it's pretty good. I've had one other concealer from Too Faced. It was just the Born This Way concealer, and I really did like it. I thought it was a little bit thick, and it was actually so nice on me that, and it was such a large amount of coverage that I would actually wear it as like a foundation a lot of times. It was a little bit yellow, the shade that I picked up, but I actually thought that for a thicker formula that it blended very nicely and it didn't crease under my eyes. And so I actually do think that this one, or thought that this one would work really well. And I think it did a pretty good job. I can still see my darkness, and maybe that's just me, but I can see it. Like, this didn't completely neutralize it. And then just laying this over it took away the pink, but didn't cover up all of my darkness. I'm gonna do a couple of like spot conceals with this guy. As this concealer compares to the original of Born This Way concealer, I think it's actually a lighter weight formula. Don't think it's as heavy, and I actually don't think it provides as much coverage, but I think that's what a lot of us are kind of into, just stuff that doesn't crease, kind of medium coverage. So I actually do think you get that with this. It was very easy to blend, and it seemed like a thinner, workable formula, a super blendable formula. L'Oreal. I think we'll finish the base products. I picked up a couple of things from Tarte of their new releases. This was the Sculpt Tape Contour Wand, and I got mine in the shade Soft Bronze. I know that there's like several companies coming out with these wands that are like this for highlighters and contour, and I know that Flower Beauty just came out with one, which I was really excited to try, but it's already sold out. So when I picked this up, I thought, okay, you know, we'll test it out. And it's mostly just like, how blendable is it? And then what's the shade? Because, you know, the Charlotte Tilbury, I mean, one is really all you need. And these are relatively similar in price. I think the Charlotte Tilbury retails for $42, whereas this one retails for $35. And in this one, it has a 6-month shelf life, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury actually has a 12-month shelf life. But they are both 12 mils, so they are both the same amount of product. Let's just push this up. I mean, literally the applicator looks identical. Let's swatch this. There's the swatch on that one. And then let's swatch the one from Charlotte Tilbury. So if you can see the difference, it's pretty obvious right away. This one from Charlotte is more opaque than the one from Tarte. It definitely has like a little bit of like sheerness about it just on its first swatch, and this is definitely more pigmented. Like a lighter weight, kind of runnier formula than the Charlotte Tilbury one is. But shade-wise, they're pretty similar. And I believe both of these are actually the lightest shade that they make in their line. So let's just go ahead and I'll do 2 dots, I think, and then blend out with a sponge. This is just a dry sponge. It's not like overly pigmented, so I'm going back in with another double tap of it. I mean, I like something that's buildable. You know, the Charlotte Tilbury one gets a little scary when you apply it. You definitely think like, oh, maybe that's too much, but then it blends out really nicely. So that's it. That's probably all I would put on it. I don't think it needs more, but I'm really tempted to do Charlotte on the other side just to kind of compare. Should we? Should we do it? Okay, we're gonna do it. See how much more pigmented that is. All right, let's blend her. See how it gets scary? Like, uh-oh. It just looks a little bit muddier when you first start blending. You know, then you can blend it out and it's not so bad. That's the Tarte, and then this one's the Charlotte. Charlotte's definitely has more pigmentation. It's just deeper in tone. Like, this one has maybe a little bit of hint of a red undertone, whereas this one's much more neutral. I kind of feel like I prefer the Tarte one. Just a little bit. Something that's maybe a little bit more buildable, you know, that it doesn't scare me right away. I think I worked a little bit less to blend it in than the Charlotte one. Did Did I do a good job blending it in? Sometimes it's hard to see up here. But that is it applied. Charlotte, Tarte, Charlotte, Tarte. I mean, it could be my application. Don't get me wrong. I, don't always apply things evenly to both sides, but I kind of preferred the Tarte. I'm not gonna lie. I think that less product went farther with the Charlotte, but I like it a little bit buildable because if there was any criticism to the Charlotte one originally, it definitely was that maybe it took a little, like it was scary when you first applied it. And so it took a little bit of it, like extra elbow grease to kind of blend it in. Maybe this one is just kind of more my speed. I like it. I do like it. So I'm just gonna powder really quickly. I picked up the PINKER Times Ahead collection from, I wanted to say Tarte, Too Faced. I do have everything that they launched. I got the eyeshadow palette. I believe this is the blush here. And then I got what they call the cheek topper, which is the blushing highlighter. So I wanna try all of those today. This was the only shade that was left in the blush because I think this particular launch, the blush was like the most sought after. So I got mine in Candy Clouds. This is, says it's a diffused matte, but it's in their like, old school packaging, but it's much smaller than the old school packaging. Let me pull out their bronzer. So for size comparison, the bronzer is much larger than this blush. And this is the only kind of Too Faced product that I have like this. So it could be that their blushes or like other products like this have come in this size before, but I don't know them to. I've only known them to be in this size. So it is a little bit smaller, which does not bother me. And this particular bronzer, they don't sell in this kind of like packaging anymore, or they do, they just don't have like the milk chocolate, which is this one. This is the milk chocolate matte. And I've had it, milk chocolate Soleil. Yeah, I've had this one for a couple of years, but it still smells like hot chocolate. I won't get rid of it. It still performs really, really nicely. So it's staying until it goes bad. But that one is like a matte finish, whereas this one is definitely more shiny. And this was a color that I probably wouldn't have picked up this color, but I didn't want to get the collection without all of the products. So I ended up just getting the only shade that they had available. And there is the inside. It smells like hand soap. Like your grandma's hand soap, like your grandma's bathroom. It's very, very strong. Oh, Too Faced powder products are so nice. It's just this really, really light baby pink, which isn't my preference, but I think that it's a lot of people's preference. So I could see that this could be like, a pretty popular shade. I have no idea what kind of brush I got. I actually think this is like a bronzer brush, but I'm just gonna use it, oh my goodness, to apply this blush. Woo, okay. It's really pigmented. And it's actually a little bit darker once you get it on the skin than my swatch looked. Like, it's really pretty. Like I said, Too Faced has really good like powder products in my opinion. And it's like kind of about time that Too Faced has launched something in not the eyeshadow department for new releases, because it seems like they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They're definitely like, came out with the concealer, the PINKER Times Ahead collection, and I could see this helping them. So I don't think this is a bad product. I have always liked Too Faced's powder products. I mean, their eyeshadows are, I think, okay. From what I can remember, it's been a minute since I've used a Too Faced eyeshadow, but yeah, I mean, I think it's really pretty and I don't mind that color at all. So let's move into the highlighter. I actually have two highlighters today, and I'm gonna throw both of them in just cause. So I have the Too Faced Cheek Popper. This one is, I think, the only shade that this came in. I think it was like just the one pink shade. Very different packaging on this, which is like interesting that maybe they didn't go with the theme here, but it's just a box packaging. And there is the highlighter. So I wanna try this highlighter on one side, but I also have the new Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide highlighter, Face Architect highlighter, and I have mine in the shade Moonlit Glow, which is not the actual pinky shade. It's the more, if I remember correctly, like the champagne one. There is the outer packaging. Yeah, it is definitely the more champagne one. I just don't reach for pink highlighters all that often, and I'm pretty picky. So when it comes to like a pink highlighter, I'm definitely like, you know, it has to be pretty good in order for me to really like get a lot of use out of it. So let's go into this one first. I'm just gonna swatch it. Definitely a scent, but not the same scent. It's really powdery. Like there's a lot of kick up in that pan. Oh, it's pretty. You guys, it really is pretty. I'm blind, I wear glasses, so I need some close up. But no, that's actually really pretty. I don't mind that. It looks really wet and it's like just the right kind of pink that doesn't cast gray. That's always the hard part about pink highlighters, is that you don't want them to be too sparkly and you don't want them to like cast too much gray on your face. Whereas I think this one is really pretty. Like I said, I've never been disappointed with Too Faced powder products before, so I just think that looks nice. So let's go into this one, and I'm gonna do it on the other side. The thing with the Charlotte Tilbury is that like all of her products now are coming so that they're removable. You know, you can, but it's spinning around, which means like it's just loose in here. It makes this noise. The new powder product that she just launched, let me grab that. The Airbrush Brightening Flawless Finish Powder, same thing. Removable compact, can change this out, but it also spins, and I freaking hate it. It's just, I don't like that. Like I have a ton of removable compacts and none of them spin around the way this does. So, not a fan of that. Let's apply this to this side. This one is more of like a buildable formula. I've already seen people put this on and have been very impressed with like the finish of it. I've liked the way that it's looked on people. And so I kind of already knew that it was gonna be like a formula that just meshes well like into your skin, that looks a little bit more natural than it would like just sitting on top of it. It's not as bright as the pink one, in my opinion. And I think the pink one's definitely more punchy. I'm just gonna make a disclaimer now. When I put a highlighter on the left side of my face, I have a fat scar that goes like right here. So I have a lot of like scar texture right here, and so the left side is always more textured than the right. So it's not necessarily that the Charlotte like is blending better with my skin than the Too Faced one. It's more a matter of like the texture that I have on the left side of my face. I think they're both beautiful, but I do believe that the Charlotte is just a little bit more natural than the Too Faced one. But as far as pink highlighters go, I think that the Too Faced is a really nice pink highlighter. Okay, let's move on into eyeshadow. I even have a new mascara today. I swear, like the Too Faced eyeshadow palettes are legitimately like getting smaller and smaller. Like they're nowhere near the pan size and the palette size that they used to be. It's cute and it's nice for storage, and I'll never go through like, you know, a whole palette. So it doesn't bother me. It's just that prices are going up, sizes are going down. Here's the color story. They call it 14 multi-finish eyeshadows in jubilantly joyful shades and delightful textures that are sure to have you twirling with blissful expectations of beautiful days ahead. That is some marketing. Super blissful. I want to go pretty safe on the eye look. I mean, it's hard to not be safe with this palette, but I think that I'm gonna start with this matte shade right here, which is called Good Trouble, it looks like. And I'm gonna put it everywhere above the crease. I'm gonna start it in the outer corner, and I'm gonna kind of like, oh, it's really pigmented. So yeah. All right, that's all I want. I'm just gonna buff this out. Laying really nicely on top of the concealer, because I did, you know, drag the concealer onto my lid. I usually always do. And it's blending out super nicely, no patchiness issues, and really pigmented. I almost feel like I need to deepen up the outer corner with this shade, which is right here, because it really kind of matches my shirt right now, in the shade Free Spirit. These are actually Coach earrings. Husband got me for Christmas. They're huge, but I told him, honey, can you get me some hoops? And he came with these bad boys, and I actually kind of like them, even though when I first saw them, I was like, whoa, those are huge, but I'm liking them. I'm just gonna pack the outer corner pretty heavily with that, I don't know, it's like a magenta shade. Is that the color of my shirt? But I'm gonna kind of blend these two shades in together to just diffuse this line out a little bit. And I wanna go into this like almost peachy shade right here. And I wanna do like a matte inner corner underneath a shimmer. I think I'm gonna take this like champagne-y shade. So I'm just taking that really light shade, and it's really nice and pigmented. And I just wanna lay this down as a base. All right, now I'm going into that like champagne shimmer. I always add a little bit extra to like the outer corner again. And then I try and blend these two shades together one more time, just to diffuse any chunkiness out. And yeah, pretty simple pinky eye look. It's pinker times ahead, so we had to do pink. I think my thoughts on this are that like there's not a lot of fallout. It was really good quality. Everything was very easy to blend. Is it the best quality I've ever tried? No, but I think it's a really easily like reached for palette. Like I think that you could get a lot of really everyday wearable tones in here, and that fun pop of blue and purple, I actually think those are quite nice. I think they're pretty fun to throw into the palette. And as far as like the quality goes, I mean, yeah, I think it was pretty darn good. It's always gonna be a test to see how long something lasts on me, because I'm one of those people that I really want something that lasts a little bit longer, and that's how I judge its quality. So I picked up this super lustrous, what is this called? This big sticker on it, The Gloss from Revlon. I'm not sure this is new, but it was new like in my drugstore. Like they definitely just put it out and it hadn't been there before. So I wanted to give this a shot too. And I'm just gonna throw it on bare lips. And I think it'll go good at the pink look we're doing. Yeah, hard to go wrong with a drugstore gloss. Like it's not sticky. It was really comfortable. It's very shiny. We'll see how long it lasts or if I get the weird mouth thing, but I don't know. I think honestly, drugstore glosses are just kind of the way to go if they perform really well, because they're a lot less expensive for what they are. So let's go into the final product, which is mascara. This is a new release by GXVE Beauty. This is called the Can't Stop Staring Lengthening and Lifting Mascara. Like been into testing new mascaras a lot lately, whereas like I'm somebody who doesn't like to usually test a lot of new mascaras because I'm pretty picky. Okay, so this tip is interesting. It's a tip. It's a tip, all right. Bloop. I want something that's lengthening and lifting, so come on, GXVE Beauty. Well, it's definitely giving me some fluff. I like this wand though. It's one of those wands where, you know, it's not too big and so I can get nice and close to my lash line because I jump. Okay, I think I'm done. So definitely lengthening, definitely lifting. It's kind of wet, but not an overly wet formula. I put one coat. It's not like thickening. I mean, I like it. I just don't know that this is like gonna be my favorite. It's lengthening and lifting. It's just not making them look thick. What do you guys think? It's pretty. It didn't make a mess. It's like a 7 out of 10 so far. I'm actually really liking this wand more than I thought I would. I think that it holds a lot of product on it. And so like, you know, when you're just kind of like doing the edges, like it's actually really grabbing and depositing, like grabbing the lashes and depositing like a lot of pigment. So that's it on both sides. What do you guys think? Do they look long? Do they look lengthened? Maybe a 7.5 out of 10. I like it so far. That is all of the new makeup. I got it all into my face. Let's do a final wrap up on all of the products and I'll kind of tell you how I feel about them upon first impressions. So I'll start with the primer. I think it was good. I think it did neutralize it a slight bit. I think it neutralized my redness just teeny tiny bit. And I actually didn't go in with concealer kind of like on the bridge of my nose like I normally do. So this is something that I'll have to keep testing to see whether or not it's really worth continuing to use on a daily basis for its effectiveness. and I want to use this on a day that I'm even more red than I was today. So far it's pretty good, but it didn't like immediately knock my socks off. The foundation is a satin finish for sure. It's not like hydrating or dewy or anything. I don't think it's too heavy, and it's definitely sinking into my fine lines just a teeny tiny bit, but a lot of satin foundations do that. Do I think that it was like super blendable? I mean, I don't even know what that means. It didn't sell me on the like super blendable part. Do I think it's a nice drugstore foundation? So far, yes. How long it lasts, I will have to test out and I don't know, update you guys in the comments. The e.l.f. color corrector, I don't know. I mean, it was thicker than the Milani, which I couldn't find, and I thought it was nice. I just don't know that it totally neutralized this eye, which is always my problem eye. And that's the one that I went in, like that's the side that I went in on 2 layers. I don't know that it did enough for me. And that's always the issue with these color correctors. It's just that I think that they're like, okay, but not great. And then the concealer I actually thought was really nice. I think it's medium coverage. I don't think it's full coverage, but I think that it was lightweight. It's not yet like creasing too bad. Like I get a little bit, but some of that is just kind of like sinking into my fine lines. The Sculpt tape from Tarte, I liked it. I really liked it. I think it's a buildable formula, which is what I said before. I don't think it's like the Charlotte where it's just pow, super pigmented right away, but I kind of like that a little bit. If there were any complaint that I had with the Charlotte one is that it always scared me. It always looked a little muddy and I kind of always felt like, oh, I better hurry up and diffuse this. So I'm liking the Sculpt tape. I can't say that I don't. And the blush, isn't this pretty blush? I really liked this shade, you guys. I thought I was gonna hate it. This is just not a shade that I have. And in fact, aside from the Dior one that I think it's even punchier than this, the one that's in Rosy Glow, I actually like this one like a little bit more because it's a little bit more muted. And this actually adds something to my collection because I don't have any shades, anything like this. I thought this was really pretty. The one complaint is that it's like this weird, just this weird soapy smell. It's soapy to me. And then the highlighter, same thing. I actually think this adds something to my collection and I think it's really pretty. I think it's just kind of one of those that melts in with a really pink blush very nicely. So also pleased with this. And then the Charlotte Tilbury, I think it's gorgeous. I think it's much more natural than the one from Too Faced. I just think it's really, really pretty. Like as far as new Charlotte Tilbury launches go, this to me was good for under the eyes. The Flawless Finish Complexion Perfect Eye and Face Micro Powder. Jesus with the names. But yeah, I mean, it was good for under the eye. Other than that, I didn't think it was great. Do we need more highlighters in our life and does the drugstore kill it? Yes. But is this beautiful? Also yes. Eyeshadow, thought it was beautiful. I haven't tried, like I said, an eyeshadow palette from Too Faced in a while. I thought this was pigmented and blendable and no fallout. Like I didn't spend any time cleaning anything up. I just left it alone. So I thought the eyeshadow palette was also a win for me. I actually liked everything that I tried today, with the exception of some of the color correcting things I just wasn't overly impressed with. The gloss is really pretty. Like, yeah, drugstore gloss, way to go. Oh, by the way, I have mine in the shade 246 Blissed Out. I think it's really pretty and just like put it in your purse, throw it on. All you need to spend is drugstore. You don't need overhyped gloss. This one's just super, super pretty. I could have even like outlined my lips with a little bit of lip liner and I think this would have been like the perfect Your Lips but better shade to like just fill it in and make them look juicy. I like this gloss, I do. Nothing wrong with it, not sticky, beautiful. And then finally, this Can't Stop Staring mascara. All right, let me look one more time. I like that it makes them look long. If nothing else, it makes them look long. So I do like this. We'll see how it transfers, or if it transfers rather, and I will update you guys in the comments. But that is it for me today, you guys. I tried on everything. I feel happy and light and airy, and it's so beautiful and sunny outside. So now I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. I hope you guys are having a wonderful new year, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.